Well, even though Valentine's Day has passed, it's still the month of love, and I have another idea. For Valentine's Day, I covered how many times did Brock from Pokemon like a girl and actually have her like him back. A video I really want more people to see, please watch it, I promise it's good. But that doesn't mean I have to stop looking at relationships. In fact, I just cover all of the relationships. Yeah, just kind of in general. So many animated shows have a romance subplot in it with some really compelling and some really bad. Some do it fantastically, others don't. And you know what? I think I should compare them. Yeah, let's not just talk about cartoon relationships, but let's make a full tier list to rank how well and how badly shows handle it. We all know how tier lists work, F tier worst and S tier best. But since this is a huge pool to pick from, I need to establish the rules of this video, and this is going to be really important, so listen up. Rule 1. This is only for romances with the main character of the show. If I do romances of every character of every notable cartoon, then I'll be here literally all day. Sorry, but no, I can't do that. These are for the main show relationship. For example, Ben from Ben 10 will be considered, but Kevin and Gwen won't. The show has to be about them. But if the show has deuteragonist, like Adventure Time with Finn and Jake, and regular show with Mordecai and Rigby, then both count as they have equal importance in the series. So, don't comment that if it's a side character relationship, they're not being covered. Don't give me, this guy's totally the main character. No, they're not, don't lie to me. Is the show about them? Are they in every episode? Are they literally the titular character? No? Then it doesn't count. Rule 2. It cannot be an adaptation of a comic or video game. I do this one to keep this ranking consistent in theme, but also that if it's adapting a previously established relationship, it's unfair, since it's developed in another medium and a lot of time are adapted straight from it. So like Robin and Starfire from Teen Titans don't count, since it's an adaptation of a well-established relationship in comics. Also, anime doesn't count since that's a whole other can of worms, so don't ask. Rule 3. It has to be an actual relationship. It can't just be implied or suggested or else that's just shipping. They have to at least go on a date or something. Also, no one-sided crushes or interest, it has to be mutual. Rule 4. Simple. It has to be a series and not a movie, only cartoon show relationships. Also, just a disclaimer, I have not seen every TV series. In fact, I probably have seen less than most in all honesty. If I didn't include a series you think I should have, it's probably because I haven't seen it or haven't finished it or whatever. So please keep in mind I can only cover things I've actually seen. Also, I'm just gonna say, I am not judging Star Versus with a 10-foot pole. I'm sorry, I can't. These names just sound like foreign shipping companies. So again, these are the rules of the video. This is what the tier list is based on, so please keep this in mind when commenting. I know it's a fool's errand, but I gotta at least try. I'm still gonna get a ton of, you didn't include this when I already said why it didn't count. Let me go into the tier list a bit more. F tier is a flat out bad and harmful relationship that can happen for a variety of reasons. D tier is a bad relationship, but not awful, it can be from the chemistry or just the drama. C tier is for average or okay relationships, or if a relationship has a lot of good and bad that comes with it, so it has to average it out. B tier is above average, but not enough to make it especially stand out. A tier is a great and lovable romance that's just held back by a few issues. And C tier is special because it has to be a relationship that's exceptional and also helps the characters and their development, making them more engaging and interesting. It has to practically go beyond perfect, which is a pretty high bar. Also, this is in no particular order. But yeah, let's get into it and let's start with something notable, Adventure Time. Now, I've covered Adventure Time plenty, like what, 13 videos by now? And yeah, what a great show. So many great characters, plots, episodes, it's practically a modern masterpiece. But romance is kind of a mess. Just putting it out here, Marceline and PB are side characters, they're not being covered, do not comment that. But to Finn's relationships, it's just a massive mess. The show made it clear that he and PB were never gonna work out to the age gap, but even when they did actually get to the same age and start to build up a relationship, it ended freaking immediately, with Finn still trying to process his emotions. Also, Huntress Wizard doesn't count as a solid relationship. Yeah, they're clearly into each other and kissed, but they never exactly went steady on screen. Even she said that she can't fall in love or else she'll lose her strength, so their relationship is passive more than anything. Even in the future, while Finn is still talking to her, we have no idea if they're in an active relationship. So again, since we never got confirmation they'd gone to a steady relationship, I can't put on the tier list, sorry. Also, Rosalind and Aaron didn't have enough time to flesh out their relationships as one-offs, and possibly never existed. They're not counted even if they did get married. But there is one definitive steady relationship to talk about: Finn and Flame Princess. Now, I did a whole deep dive into Flame Princess's character journey, her compelling introduction and characterization that fits perfectly with the show's theme, until the series ended the relationship suddenly, and then decided there's nothing to her character and practically dropped her. It might be my favorite Adventure Time analysis video I've done that I really recommend you see. I just wish it didn't release at the time when YouTube just decided to refuse to spread my videos for 6 months, completely stagnating my channel growth for half a year, so thanks for that!
No, change me back!
Not until you appreciate what a jerk I am.
But Flame Princess was a fascinating character, a person treated that they must be evil by their immense power, and doing the only thing they thought to do and destroy everything. But Finn showed that she can move beyond their nature, showing that she can be a force for good and be a legitimate person, being basically the only person she ever got affection from, and she gave Finn that youthful affection back he desperately needed. It was a legit, wholesome relationship that was strong because their commitment went beyond the fact that they couldn't physically be together, to the point where they couldn't directly kiss. It was beautiful. They were building to her regressing to her evil ways, potentially causing problems, but then it ended out of nowhere with Finn emotionally manipulating her to fight an innocent man just so he can get wet dreams, and this betrayal made them break up. Like, what the hell? This came out of nowhere, just destroyed the whole relationship. People were pissed for good reason. This isn't a satisfying reason to break up an interesting relationship. I heard in my Magic Man video that all the little people could show this, that had Finn manipulate relationships for his own gain, which is fair, but I also think that goes against it, since Finn should have learned it's a terrible thing to do. And then after that, the show just didn't know what to do with her outside of a relationship, speedran her development in one episode, destroyed her character by forgiving this immediately after destroying her nation, and then just decided, hey, she's a rapper now, that's all she is. What compelling character issues did she have again? It sucks because this relationship was so compelling and interesting, but they ruined it for no reason and then destroyed Flame Princess's character. So it's a bit hard to rank, but since it was a compelling relationship ended by a horrific, badly written breakup, I'll have to even it up and put it in C tier. But hey, it's called Adventure Time with Finn and Jake, so as the Dragoness clause, Jake also got a spot, and he only has one lady in his heart, Lady Rainicorn. Now, this is another character and relationship I got into in another Adventure Time analysis video I really recommend you watch. The show never did reveal how they met unless you count the pilots, so they're already a couple when the show starts. But unfortunately, the show had the language barrier with Lady that they tried their hardest to never actually break, so most of Lady's dialogue was entirely ineligible, had to be simple stuff you can get from context clues and tone, or something entirely scalable that you don't need to know. So that made it super difficult to get into her head and give her spotlight, since they couldn't show what she's feeling. And that also reflected the ship, as their relationship was kind of barely explored beyond the superficial. However, the show made a major shakeup by actually having her pregnant with kids, making Jake one of the few cartoon show main characters to have unmarital sex during the course of the show. Well, to think about.
What about tier 15?
Stay away from that! Do not do tier 15!
Which I do gotta applaud for progressing the relationship this way, going beyond a lot of typical cartoon relationships by having them becoming parents and exploring their bond and parental skills through their children. So that alone makes it more interesting than normal, and the few hints we have of the relationship makes it really healthy and lovable, so it's about B tier. Now, that should be it for Adventure Time, but technically, I was reminded that the spin-off Fiona and Cake should count. Specifically, since Simon there is a main character. Now, at the time of writing this, I have no idea if Simon will continue to be a main character in the next season. But at least now, so much of the show revolves around him, and he always appears. He has to be considered one of the main characters of the series. So this is a rare technicality that a side character becomes a main character. And this now validates Simon x Betty as a relationship for this list. Now, in the series, the actual relationship was never dived into, just imported to the plot as the catalyst of Ice King's character and Betty's main plot to bring them back. But in Fiona and Cake, we get a reversal of Simon trying everything to bring Betty back from an even worse fate. But more importantly, we dive into the actual relationship more with the actual flashbacks, and showing how they fell in love with each other, how they brought each other out of their respective shells, treating the other like the most important part of their lives. Oh my god, it's so freaking adorable and sweet! It retroactively makes the conflict in the main series so much stronger, as we see firsthand their love and commitment to each other, and justifies why they work so hard to bring back the people they love despite that. It's so beautiful and good. It really helped to make this relationship so much more interesting and engaging when we see what the characters were fighting for. So, it actually gets the S rank. Good job. Now we go to a show that has some of the most infamous romance blunders, regular show. Starting with probably the most obvious relationship, Mordecai x Margaret. Yeah, this was painful. From the start of the show, Mordecai's massive crush on Margaret was established and doing literally anything to try and be with her, and yet fumbling the ball literally every chance. It just goes on and on, it's so painful and tiring. It's the worst type of romance, going at practically a snail's pace. Doesn't help that Margaret's pretty boring as a character, just more of a generic nice girl the guy has a crush on. Though I will give her credit, she's just as much into getting into trouble as the guys are, so that's the point. I mean, let's not forget.
Have a nice week, diaper boy.
Plus, she did have feelings for him back, but he's too much of a moron to actually make a move. But yeah, after so many seasons, they finally freaking got somewhere and made it official. Just for the show to pretty much immediately write her off once the relationship actually went anywhere. Why? I have no idea. I mean, I guess it's just stumped they weren't writing crappy romance drama. And then brought her back just to have a shitty love triangle that was somehow even worse and painful. Oh my god. Like, this was the worst part of the show. And genuinely, a thing they should have never bothered with if they were gonna do this. It's not like it's toxic, it's just so tedious and painful and underdeveloped, so it really deserves nothing more than a low D tier, and that's being insanely generous. Then, Mordecai and CJ. Oh god. So after Margaret left the show, they tried to bring CJ back as the new love interest. And if they were gonna get rid of Margaret, fine, okay, just do it better. But unfortunately, CJ falls into a lot of the same problems, but luckily since they were together, they didn't do that will they won't they crap. She is a bit more interesting than Margaret, having more of an attitude to her, but still not too terribly interesting. But it wasn't until Margaret came back that it seriously turned to pure shit. Like, come on, you couldn't write a compelling, straightforward relationship with this dude. Don't try with a love triangle. And it's even more painful with so many stupid, asinine, horrible scenes and plots and moments. It's just why? Until the season 6 finale, when Mordecai pulls the biggest dick move possible and breaks up with CJ in public during Muscle Man's wedding, which, oh my god, man. What could have possibly compelled you to think this was a good idea? Breaking her heart and practically disappearing for the rest of the show, not even getting an appearance in the ending montage, that sucks. Now, all of that makes the relationship terrible, but there is a big problem with it that wasn't really Mordecai's fault. CJ is way too emotionally unstable to be in a relationship. Like, really, this girl has serious issues. And unlike Phoenix Flame Princess, this wasn't a compelling relationship that got ruined by asinine writing choices. This was an established thing with CJ from the start. That if she gets upset, she'll go full on psychotic and try to kill virtually everyone around her, and she has a lot of pent up anger. And a lot of the times, I can't even blame Mordecai. She's a complete hypocrite, like, sorry, I'm just dating to get over losing my crush. Oh, that's fine, we can hang out as friends. Oh sweet, we're actually getting back together. What? I thought we had something special, I'll kill you all! Margaret's family invited me over for a party, but I shouldn't go if it's gonna make you uncomfortable. No, it's fine, you go to our party. What? You two are hanging out, I'll kill you all! Like, not so great double date was horrendous, but no, you do not get to take the moral high ground for them lying. You were literally trying to kill them. You nearly killed innocent people. Shut the hell up. I legitimately think this relationship wouldn't work out regardless because CJ is too emotionally unstable to be in a relationship, and that really needs to be called out more. I think any romance with Linda Cardellini played characters is just not gonna end well. Also, holy crap, that was Linda? I never put it together. Come on, I just made the Scooby-Doo timeline. I can't do any more Scooby-Doo, I can't. Sorry, this was never gonna work out regardless, so yeah, I don't have a choice. F tier, no question. Now, I would say this travesty of an arc was an indication that regular show cannot write romance. If it didn't have one of the best romances I've ever seen. Rigby x Eileen. Seriously, did Rigby just steal all of Mordecai's good romance for his own? I wouldn't put it past him. But yeah, this is a miracle. Rigby starting out was pretty much a whiny, irresponsible, untalented loser with very few redeeming qualities. Though for some reason Eileen was super into him. I don't really know why, maybe just had that roguish charm. Though Rigby had pretty much no interest in her despite her being into him.
Idiot.
Why'd we have to come on her ship?
However, the episode One Pull-Up changed it, where Rigby would soon be fired if he didn't make a pull-up, and being so weak he was pretty much stuck. But Eileen stood up for him. and helped to train him, offering her skills, and even when the show did its weird climax thing, she was the one who motivated him to finally achieve it, ending with him legitimately grateful for her help and returning her affection. And this continued throughout most of the show, with them getting closer and really respecting Eileen much more as a person and going out of his way to help her out. And I feel there's a legitimate argument that Rigby helped Eileen get more out of her shell and stand up for herself more. Until the season 6 finale confirming that they are in a steady relationship and are officially going out but didn't want to make a big deal out of it. Something Mordecai should have done himself, again, absolute blunder.
We didn't want to shove our happiness down your throat too much. Well, I mean, I wanted to shove our happiness down your throat, but Eileen told me not to.
But yeah, it's a legitimately healthy relationship, but I think it gets so much more special in the next season, where Rigby thinks that Eileen deserves someone better than him and actively goes out of his way to graduate high school and gets his diploma because he thinks that Eileen deserves it. And even though Eileen denies it, saying that she loves him as he is, Rigby does it anyway for her and himself, and oh my god, it's so good. It pushes all my buttons to see their commitment to each other. And we see this commitment last till the end of the show, getting married and making a family together, and it feels so right after all they went through together. Rigby would not have gotten his incredible development and characterization if it wasn't for Eileen, which is the best kind of romance there is. I can't believe that this and Mordecai's romance are in the same show. It's like polar opposites. What else but S tier? It has to be. Now let's move on to another CN classic, The Amazing World of Gumball. I gotta say, this show went from just okay in its first season to downright brilliant in its subsequent seasons, with so much more clever and smart writing, experimentation, genre blending, and incredible comedy and satire that I'm not gonna lie, I think it's practically Simpsons level at times.
Your generation should have thought about our future before ruining the economy.
And the environment. And the education system.
I finished high school, all I had was $3 in my pocket. So what did I do? I bought a house, a car, and started a family. And the other $2 went into my savings.
It's pretty emotional at times too, like the choices makes me cry my eyes out every time. It's so heartwarming. But we're here for romance, and thank God Gumball does not do the dumb romance drama its fellow shows did, and has mostly straightforward ones. First, Gumball x Penny. Gumball always had eyes for Penny from the first season in that hyper kid crush kind of way. It was cute, but it wasn't anything too special, especially since Penny also suffered a lot from the generic nice girl crush archetype. But that changed in the show, one of the show's best episodes, where Penny literally breaks out of her shell, showing it was suppressing her emotions, now with her true form as an emotional shapeshifter. And oh my god, this episode is so good, beautiful, perfection, and it cemented the two as a couple. And Penny was a much more interesting character, being more outspoken and firm with her new gimmick, and the two were allowed to get much more intimate with their relationship. It's so cute and wholesome, even if it did kind of get pushed a few times. It's close to S tier, but it didn't quite do enough characterization, at least on Gumball's side, that's really warranted to be super compelling, and it did start out pretty boring, but I think it earns a high A tier. But this is a duo show, so Darwin's also in here. Weird how many CN shows were a dude duo in this era. I'd say Darwin's only real relationship was with Carrie. And I do think it's a pretty random pairing, like it just came out of nowhere. I mean, I get falling hard for the goth girl, but honestly, he could have had a crush on Masami and it would have made just as much sense. But honestly, the opposite personalities do really work well, and Carrie's a cool character. And Without You goes way harder than it should. But it doesn't really go anywhere too interesting, so I don't call it as engaging as Gumball x Penny. So it gets a solid B tier. It's nice, but it's not anything too special. Let's take a break from CN and go to Disney and one of their most popular shows, Kim Possible. Now, I really wish I got into this show when I was a kid, when it was still airing, because it was just before my time, before I could truly appreciate it. But oh my god, this show is incredible, like one of the best animated action shows. Animation, amazing. Action, awesome. Creativity, so nice. But the writing is so damn good, character-wise, plot-wise, and comedy-wise. Like, it's practically perfect. Kim and Ron is really helped by the length the show had with them, both as partner heroes. And while Kim of course shares the main spotlight, I do appreciate that Ron's not just the goofy comical sidekick. He legitimately helps out in a lot of cases, and has a few solo wins and kicks some ass as well. They share an intimate connection that no one else has, and legitimately support each other in each of their conflicts, and thank god they didn't push some dumbass love triangle like in regular show when they easily could have. It only happens in the original finale movie So the Drama, where the two have to confront their relationships with each other with the supposed new love interest for Kim, as both struggle with if they should acknowledge their feelings and breaking past the conventions of teen romances if they really are good for each other, and then finally realize and commit to each other as a full-blown couple that would have ended the show great, but this show was so popular it got another season and broke Disney's 52-episode rule. And the 4th season still committed to it even further now, able to express more of their relationship, their growth, love and commitment to each other, trying to become better to each other and earn their love, especially from Ron's side.
Kim, is that your boyfriend out there running like a sick chicken?
Yeah, that's my guy.
It's so great, so lovable, so heartwarming. This is such an earned relationship. It has to be an S-tier love, no question. But I want to touch on another show in this era, American Dragon Jake Long. A more obscure show some people might remember that unfortunately didn't have the impact as Kim Possible did, but if you want to get more info on it, I did do a full series retrospective last year that I highly recommend you watch. Just wish again that YouTube wasn't an ass during that time. But the show does have its problems, even if it was pretty fun.
You ready to pucker up for the Bradster?
I sure am.
Jackpot!
But its best aspect was the Jake and Rose dynamic. Jake is from a clan of dragons acting as guardians of the magical communities, as Rose is a soldier of the Huntsmen, a clan sworn to destroy magic for actually really no reason. But they fall in love with no idea of their hidden lives until they're forced to reveal it to each other and they struggle with their emotions. It's pretty much a Romeo and Juliet type dynamic, but they really explore it and get all the drama they have for it, trying to keep their relation when they inherently can't with so many harsh conversations, reveals, and turns. It's genuinely engaging and interesting.
You have to slay me. Jake, listen to me. At dawn, the two of us are going into that arena. Only one of us is coming out. At what he's planning and stop him.
There has to be another way, but I don't think this is gonna work out.
Rose, don't say that. I should have trusted you.
I don't care what you look like. I like you for who you are. What's under your skin is all that matters.
Culminating in the show's best episode, where the relationship ended bittersweetly, and it was just a gut punch, but man, it was great. Again, watch the retrospective for more info. Unfortunately, it kind of got fumbled in the last episode with a 100% happy ending that makes absolutely no sense, that kind of ruins it. It's that, and that it only really got interesting in season 2 that prevents it from getting to S rank, but still solid A rank. But to the modern era, there is a big one I gotta cover, The Owl House. This show freaking captivated the internet when it came out, largely around the aspect I'll get into, but it's a great show, great and fun world building and characters, it's a great time. Even if they had to hyper condense the story thanks to Disney being jackasses, but it did make season 2 super dramatic and engaging non-stop regardless. But to the thing, losing Amity. This was the thing that really got people into the show, and I gotta give it credit, you never saw a same-sex relationship like this before in animation. I mean, it was when same-sex relationships were becoming more normalized, but usually in these cases it was the side characters or just heavily hinted at, or maybe if you're lucky end with it confirming it when the show's already over. I think Owl House was the first to do it with the main character and do it during the majority of the show. Honestly, I did not expect it. I thought Amity was going to be the stereotypical bully character in the first half of season 1, so this was a surprise. And yeah, they're actually really cute together. I mean, Hootie said it best.
They're adorable and deserve all the happiness.
Really upped a lot of the characters and the development. I mean, Grom Knight is iconic. Unfortunately, I do feel it's hurt because it jumped too quick from the relationship of bully to lover. Like, I felt we needed at least one more episode to bridge the gap between I hate you and I want to date you. Kind of a lot like Gwen and Kevin from Ben 10, but still, great relationship that puts boundaries, so A tier. Let's take a break from Disney and go to Nickelodeon. I feel like jumping to Danny Phantom, a pretty great and fun action show that has the misfortune of being made by Butch Hartman. It kind of exemplifies his strengths and weaknesses, at least in his prime when he had Steve Marmol helping him out, and made a solid comic book inspired world and series based off ghosts, with plenty of great plot lines, but goddamn dude, like all the characters suck. Like in a strict comedy like Fairly OddParents, it's fine, you never expect real development, at least most of the time. But in a serialized comic-inspired show, the sheer lack of dynamic and interesting characterization seriously hurts the show, when they never grow out of their loud, obnoxious stereotypes. Now, Sam is pretty contentious in the fanbase for a lot of reasons that really got exemplified after watching this video by that other shady on YouTube. He also stole my idea to make a Danny Phantom Christmas review last year, but I actually did it in rhyme. And yeah, the Hartman writing really hurt it, with Sam being written as an obnoxious rebel goth for most of the show. And that makes it really hard to like her, and honestly hurts her relationship with Danny, when the actual romance and characterization feels so shallow and kinda forced. Even most of the fans feel it should have been with someone else. It can even get legitimately toxic, especially at the finale that cements their relationship, with her basically chewing him out for giving up his powers and never once trying to see his perspective, and shaming him since she doesn't feel special anymore from his heroics. They treat her like she's in the right for this, and again they get together. That's pretty bad. Like, it's not entirely bad, it has its moments, but unfortunately, I don't think it's a good ship. It's like the opposite of how Kim and Ron's relationship was, and how you do it in a bad way. I don't know if this will be contentious, but D tier. Next is Jimmy x Cindy. Does this count? I really haven't seen much of Jimmy Neutron. Personally, I don't trust anyone named Jimmy. Does anyone really care about this? I'm probably gonna get comments regardless. I think it breaks the rules since they never really actually date, but they show in a time skip they got together in the future. Even if it was a joke that it was the worst thing Jimmy could think of. But again, I'm gonna get comments either way, so this was entirely out of obligation. But this really isn't a ship. There are a bunch of prepubescent kids still on their gender rivalry stage. And Jimmy and Cindy spend virtually all their time arguing, just snapping at each other to prove who's better. Sometimes I really wonder why they team up so many times. I don't even think this counts since they're little kids who have no interest in romance and go actively against it. Well, except for Jimmy's actual crush, who doesn't exactly return his affection. But hey, if I do, I have to treat it like the rest of the tier list. There are some moments where they hint they want to actually commit to a genuine relationship.
Cindy's pants are going down!
But again, being children, they don't want to. And since pretty much all their scenes are just bickering, it has to get F tier. Again, I wouldn't count this normally, but again, I'm gonna get comments anyway, so might as well. However, this one is tricky. When I think of couples in a Nick show, I think of Cosmo and Wanda from Fairly OddParents. But by my rules, I don't know if they count as main characters or not. Timmy's definitely the main character, but it's hard to tell if Cosmo and Wanda are. I mean, they are in every episode, and they are the titular Fairy Godparents, so it should count about. But yeah, this romance is a roller coaster. Now, they actually did commit a lot to the relationship early on in the season, with them being a ditzy but very loving couple, pretty much being unable to do anything without the other, even having one of the 12 first season episodes be solely about their relationship and reaffirming it. But as the series progressed, it got reminded that it's a Hartman show, and says that consistent characterization is for chumps. Then just degrading their relationships to near toxic levels, with so many I hate my marriage and my spouse jokes for cheap laughs for seasons.
I'm a boob, and Wanda trapped me into marriage.
Poof might have been a controversial addition, but at least he did help reaffirm their marriage that was in the toilet from seasons before. And A New Wish did finally bring them back to the loving, ditzy couple that used to be. It's so nice. So yeah, this relationship has had so many hills and valleys, but you average it out, it has to get a C tier. Though it does remind me of another ship I kinda covered before, Chowder x Panini. This goes into a lot of Jimmy x Cindy territory, where the relationship is basically made of childhood bickering, but it's mostly just Panini having a huge crush on him and pestering him to return affection, as he wants nothing to do with it. I do think the hate is super overdramatized since, you know, they're kids, they're like 8, even younger than Jimmy and Cindy, and in the prime cooties age range, and it's played pretty much entirely for comedy and super over-the-top and cartoonist that it's not serious at all. Even Chowder in the future made a remark that he never actually knew Panini was into him because he was such a naive kid.
Panini likes me? I had no idea.
Which does bring us to the finale, which I covered last year if you want to check it out. It's actually pretty interesting. There, it has Chowder forced to grow up, and how his refusal has stagnated everyone else's lives, and in particular, Panini, they never returned her affection, as he's basically stuck in limbo. So it does have more worth than just being a quick, they got married happily ever after. To resolve the two, it's a big part of the episode and themes of responsibility. And yeah, even though I don't mind they got together, again, they were kids, and the point of the finale is to grow up. For the purposes of the list, again, there's very little support of the two, aside from a few moments like the Christmas special where he kissed her and thanks for her help. And it's mostly just a usual ew girls for the entire show, so yeah, F tier. But it does remind me of another ship that's pretty similar, Phineas x Isabella. It's also a similar case of a girl falling hard for a guy who doesn't return their affection, but much more mutual still being friends. I have not seen all of Phineas and Ferb, so maybe it's inaccurate, but as far as I remember, they didn't really push the relationship too much and made it more of a character quirk with a few exceptions. So I'm mostly going to go to the Actor Rate's penultimate episode, since I hear that's really when the relationship got solidified. You can tell me if I missed something important. So this is a time skip where they're close to adulthood, which is pretty jarring, honestly. Like, this show is childhood incarnated. And we see their grown-up designs, and holy sh**, Hoover became Aaron Hansen.
Why don't you stop when it's good for me, and then you stop when I'm right at the hole, you stupid bastard.
Where it does reveal that Phineas was entirely oblivious to Isabella liking him when he was into her, leading to some trouble with her leaving to college early and trying to rush to finally commit, with a good song about it. Definitely a lot of bangers in the show. Finally conveying to each other and going to the same college. So yeah, it does end with them getting together from the future. The relationship was mostly a side thing for most of the show, but it did commit at the end, and it's still pretty cute, so I give it a solid B tier. Though, I'm reminded of Ferb x Vanessa. This is probably gonna be contentious, but no. Just no, this is way too ewy. I know there's technically nothing illegal since as far as we know they only got intimate when he was a legal adult, but this relationship literally started when he was a child. Like, I'm sorry, but no, that's just too gross and messed up for me. He was literally 10 and she was 16. I don't want to play the gender swap game, but imagine if a relationship started with a 16-year-old guy and a 10-year-old girl. You literally could not make this. It crosses the line. Again, just no, I don't care how it's written. You are not going to make this work. I mean, Monty was right there and would avoid all of this, and bonus, it would have been Monogram and Doofenshmirtz's in-laws. That's freaking glorious. I can't in good consciousness say this is good. It has to go into F tier, sorry, but not sorry. They should not have done this. Fight me in the comments all you want, but no. Now, I think it would be remiss if I didn't do Katang. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really a fan of it since it's virtually irrelevant for most of the show, which is probably the right call. A lot of serialized shows got ruined by romance, but like for nearly all its run, it's just Aang having a childhood crush on Katara. It only got confirmed at the very last shot of the show with a kiss. There's like barely anything here, and it's really not anything special or developed. It's only really here because Korra proved they got together. Like, Sokka and Suki had a much more engaging relationship, and before you say it, no, he's not considered here. This show is not called Avatar: The Last Southern Water Tribe Warrior. So yeah, C tier, sorry. Also, I haven't finished Korra, so she's not here. Well, I think this video's gone far enough. I think I should wrap it up. Oh no. I don't want to do it again. Don't make me. Okay, fine. Yeah, Benton tried romance a lot. It was horrible. It was actually the topic of my first Valentine's Day video, and let me tell you, it was the most painful video I've had to make, at least in terms of actually watching it, because of god-awful romance drama. Like, I had to sit through every LSP episode, and it wasn't as painfully obnoxious. I'm not kidding, this show makes regular shows romance seem Oscar-worthy. If you want to get a full deep dive, you can watch the video here, it's a lot more informative, so I'll cover the romances briefly. First one is Ben and Julie. The first actual romance in this show, and has a few positive notes. Julie does suffer, again, from nice girl syndrome, but they avoid so many annoying superhero tropes by immediately having her learn Ben's identity, and be cool with it, and they do help and support each other a lot. It's a decent relationship. Until it wasn't. This relationship suffers from the most forced, awful romance drama that exists solely to cause problems. Starting off with Ben basically hating her dog for absolutely no reason, even when said creature was indispensable to him multiple times. Why? Because we had to force some conflict in this. Then it gets so much worse, where Ben is just flat out a complete asshole, demeaning her and what she means to him, prioritizing a stupid freaking movie over supporting her, and cheating on her with a clone of his cousin.
About Julie?
She was only a little too good looking for me. She broke up with me.
No, she said you might as well be broken up.
One, majority rules, don't wait up.
No one just be like, hey, hold on for a second. Does anyone else notice that this guy's the worst thing ever?
Then forcing even more god-awful romance drama tensions by breaking up, getting back together, and breaking up again. It's just so painful and annoying to watch. But at least at the end of Ultimate Alien, they reaffirmed their relationship. And then Omniverse happened. There, they out of nowhere broke them up for months with the most insulting, idiotic decision, treating it like a stupid game over a complete misunderstanding and assassinating her character, making her a stereotypical toxic, resentful ex, and basically writing her out of the show. But hey, I'm sure there was no spite to the UAF era with this decision, no sirree Bob. People say this is why they would have never worked out, but crappy character writing and forced drama isn't a good reason on why a relationship wouldn't work. Like, I wouldn't say Finnick's Flame Princess wouldn't work out just because Finn randomly and emotionally manipulated her so the rest could break them up. It was a perfectly fine relationship that got ruined by god-awful character writing, so D tier it is. Now, Omniverse might have destroyed Julie's character and relationship to the point where killing her off would have been more dignified, but they also introduced Esther, one of my favorite characters in Hot Stretch, one of my favorite episodes. Part of the Kraho tribe are metallic tungsten-based aliens who can stretch their body implied by their extremely molten body heat. An idea I love so much and inspired probably my most popular OC in my art accounts. But Esther's super fun, having a Spider-Man Black Cat dynamic with the two and clearly befriending each other. I love it. Unfortunately, the show screwed them over. They have absolutely no development as the rest of her appearances has her fighting with another girl for Ben's affection, so their relationship was literally never built up. Like, why would you bother? She only has 5 goddamn appearances in this show and only one of them was solo. Like, come on, screw Catfight for shoving in Luma in a tail. I want to see her and Rook team up to save Ben from a villain controlling him. That would be awesome. And they literally just say that they can't fight Fate and break up, which is the biggest indication of bad writing I could think of. Omniverse, why do you piss me off so much? So yeah, a very cool relationship that didn't get the chance it deserved to be developed. D tier. And to the worst one, no contest, Ben x Kai. I can barely put into words how awful this relationship is. It starts out in classic with Ben in love with a girl named Kai, at the end realizing she never liked him for himself, but was fetishizing him as a werewolf. Yes, really.
I figured I could train you, tame you, you know.
Train him? Tame him? He's a person, not a pet.
Oh well, whatever.
Now, that is obviously appalling and disgusting, but the point of the episode was that crushes don't always work out and sometimes you'll meet the wrong people.
The thing about a crush is, sometimes you get crushed.
But some asshole making the pop-up bonus trivia forgot the entire point of the episode and went, no, they totally get together, ignore this. And it would just be disposable pop-up trivia. I mean, like, half of these are just made up on the spot and then decanonized. But then Omniverse came around with its agenda to destroy UAF's legacy for classic nostalgia pandering, saw it and said, no, we must make this real, destroy everything else. This pop-up is our holy scripture. Breaking up with Julie and Esther to bring back Kai for it. And you would think they might have, tried to make this relationship work and develop the characters past being 10 years old. No, they're even worse. They're insanely childish, immature, and obnoxious, doing absolutely nothing else but arguing and bickering, and this is somehow developing a relationship. Now, I don't mind a quippy and snappy couple, it can be endearing, but there is literally nothing else to support them. It's just arguing, not even coy, it's actively insulting and blowing up at each other.
Fine, then go! Asking you here was my grandpa's idea, not mine.
Whatever. Have fun finding your temple. This is Rook. Miss Green, it is a pleasure to meet you.
I just called you for backup anyway.
Backup?
You can't build a relationship off of just arguing. And Kai did not stop objectifying the out of Ben. If anything, it got worse as she actively refused to acknowledge Ben as a human and only respects him as an alien.
If only you were as good at being normal as you are at being alien.
Who was busy saving your life? Whatever happened to Good Boy?
That was for Blitzwolfer. Nice move!
Thanks. I've been practicing.
I was talking to Ballweave.
Yeah, turn that fetishizing and objectification into a cute little character quirk. Nothing wrong here. And the show doesn't even bother to give any actual reason for them to get together. It just has this shithead from the future say they're gonna be together despite everything. And then time skip to the future where they're a loving married couple with absolutely no on-screen development. And people say, well, it worked out in the future, that means it's a good relationship. Are you shitting me? You didn't develop this relationship. You didn't give any reason. I can't believe people defend this. I mean, yeah, everyone knows that writing is about tell, don't show. I mean, what were those dumbass writers that Kim Possible thinking of making Kim and Ron compelling and wholesome, developing throughout the series? They should have just made them obnoxious jerks yelling and arguing at each other constantly in the series with, but then it worked out, bye! So much better and interesting. By your logic, Chowder x Panini is like the greatest pairing of all time. And at least that was with 8-year-old kids when boys don't like girls. These are 16-year-olds, hell, honestly more 17 by the end of the show, acting worse than that. And don't give me, that's just how teens are, cause that's bullshit. Ben in this series, and especially before, has proven he's so much more mature and better than this, so don't give me that.
Older than our own solar system.
Aliens have old stuff? I thought aliens only had future stuff.
Someone's trying to steal the orb. The ball?
Oh!
I can't believe people out there This is a good relationship. There is not a single redeeming quality. Like, if you like this, I want to know what the hell you don't like and find as an unacceptable relationship, because it's gotta be out there. This is the most toxic relationship I have ever seen that got canonized and confirmed as if there's no problem with it. And this especially made me watching this series for this be the most painful experience I've had on YouTube. This is the worst relationship I've seen and the worst written, and it's gonna be hard to top this. You know what? You don't even deserve F tier. You get lower. You get negative F tier and go to hell. Well, sorry to end us as a bad note, but it is interesting to comb so many shows to see how well or bad they handle their main romances, to see how some completely excel, get you invested in their characters and want you to get them together, and others who just missed the entire point and made it super tedious and annoying. Romance is honestly a bit of a gamble. It can improve your show and make it the most compelling and engaging part of it, and a key part of its identity. Or what's acknowledged as the worst part of the show that can actively ruin it and people's perceptions of it. It's enlightening either way to compare and contrast and makes you appreciate them more. Now, I'm sure we're gonna get some comments disagreeing on placement, which, fair enough, except if it's Kai. But also a lot of characters I missed out on, like there's some shows I haven't seen or haven't completed or maybe just purposely skipped. And there's definitely gonna be stuff on people disagreeing on main characters. And honestly, if people want, I might make another ranking of relationships I missed, or even do a side character video. But again, before you do, please read and understand the rules, even if I know it's just a fool's errand. But right now, I'm honestly all romanced out, so thank God February is so short. See you all in March. Goodbye.
Talk to my girlfriend like that! Girlfriend? Oh, no, that won't do. We'll find you a new girlfriend. Someone who's not on wanted posters everywhere.
Oh, okay.